Transportation is important. Everyone needs transportation, no matter what mode. We need it to get to work and school, get food and water and whatnot. It comes in many forms: cars, bikes, walking, public transport, etc. But in Canada's third largest city, Vancouver, everything might change. Their transportation agency, TransLink, is not getting enough funding. Everything they run, like buses, trains, and ferries, might get service cuts starting soon. Although it may seem like this will only affect transit riders, it will not. It'll screw up transportation for all 2.7 million people living here, making everyone's life even worse than it already is. We all know that transit riders are done for, but what about drivers? How will this make their life worse? If TransLink doesn't get funded in time, they will be forced to cut bus service in half, cut SkyTrain and SeaBus service by a third, and to get rid of the West Coast Express commuter train. Over 1 million trips are taken every day on these services, and if they get cut, people who can will resort to the next best option: driving. Tens or hundreds of thousands of people will start driving, which will make traffic 20% worse than it already is. No one wants to get stuck in traffic, and getting stuck in 20% more traffic is going to make everyone's trips super long and miserable. There also won't be enough parking for all the cars, so unless businesses build a lot more parking, have fun taking forever to find parking. Small businesses who don't have a lot of money can't build more parking anyway, and if people know these businesses don't have enough parking, people won't want to go to small businesses. Obviously, transit riders' lives will get a lot worse too. Imagine how many people would be affected if 145 bus routes were cancelled. Imagine everyone in these cities who won't be able to get anywhere quickly without a car and still not get anywhere quickly with a car. Think about the people who can't drive. Maybe they can't afford to, maybe they have a disability, or maybe they're new to the country and don't have a driver's license. Who knows? What will they do? Spend an awful amount of money on Ubers? Walk hours and hours to get to work and school or to buy groceries? Just because transit riders are the minority doesn't mean we should make their preferred or only way of getting around even worse than it already is. Children wouldn't be able to get anywhere conveniently without their parents' cars, and if their parents can't drive them, they'd be trapped in their house without anything to do but play video games. Whatever buses we would still have would be awfully overcrowded, more than they already are. Most buses don't have dedicated lanes, so they'd also be stuck in the same traffic as cars, making them more expensive to operate and making transit riders' trips awfully long. They'd even have to reduce handy-dart service by 35%, making trips for those with disabilities or mobility issues terrible and more expensive. Of course, there will be impacts felt by everyone, drivers and non-drivers. Everyone's trips will take longer, except for maybe cyclists, but no one cycles, so that doesn't really matter. More cars on the road are obviously going to create more air pollution, making air quality worse, and there's the whole climate change thing. Also, workers wouldn't be able to get to their jobs, including healthcare workers, construction workers, and other important workers. Hundreds, or even thousands of transit employees would lose their jobs because TransLink would no longer be able to pay them. Low-income families will become even more low-income if they become forced to own a car. If there's no way for them to own a car, they can't get anywhere without walking for hours. The point is, if or when this happens, no matter how you get around and no matter how rich or poor you are, if you live in Metro Vancouver, you will not escape the consequences. So, why isn't the government doing anything about it? The municipal governments in Metro Vancouver are practically begging the province and federal government to find a way to fund TransLink, but have gotten no promises or anything. The federal government's $30 billion commitment to transit across the country isn't even going to do anything. They're going to start the funding in 2026 at the earliest, but transit service will have to be cut at the end of 2025. So far, only the provincial government has been giving TransLink relief funding, maybe because the federal government is just too busy arguing in Parliament. It's also not only because of Justin Trudeau. Maybe I'm just behind, but I have not heard a single person from the federal government say anything about this. It's definitely not because the report on the cuts came out a few days ago. TransLink has been telling the government they're running out of money for months. Like, what horrible people let down 2.7 million people because they enjoy arguing with each other? We ordinary citizens aren't useless. We can make change if enough people care. You can't sign the petition for transit funding anymore, but what you can do is think about who you vote for in the provincial election in October. I've no knowledge on any of the candidates, so I can't affect your vote. But think about the traffic and all the people who'd be done for if the cuts are made. I've heard some people say that you can contact the member of parliament in the province or in Ottawa, but I have no idea how that works, so you can figure that out yourself if you really don't want this to happen. You can also tell other people that this will happen and their lives will get worse, and the government will see enough angry Vancouverites that they maybe do something about it. For now, let's just hope that the government will one day have enough common sense to save Canada's third largest city.